Announce that we are live. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just grinding away more than anything.
Nice, dude.
Get it wrong. All right. Cam Shorts, 10-man PPR. You got Bo next, James Cook. I'll grab the mic, make sure I don't get lost in the distance here. Bo next, James Cook, Bijan Robinson, who's back this week. Puka Nacua, Xavier Worthy, Hunter Henry, J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I mean, this is a great team. No real notes. In theory, you could try to tier up your wide receiver too. But you got Mike Evans currently out on IR, so theoretically comes back and is better. I don't know. That's really the only thing you can try to do here, but I don't mind having Xavier Worthy. But I imagine Rashee Rice would be the primary focus once he's back. Overall, great team. Not really like a lot to be said here, to be honest. All right. Uneasy 12-man PPR. Dak, Saquon, Quinshawn, Devonta Adams, Alec Imanor, Mason Taylor, Stephon Diggs. So we're making some strong adjustments on the waiver. Getting hit with a little bit of injury bias here was CeeDee Lamb and Ricky Pearsall, unfortunately. So you technically do have a stronger receiving room than what it initially looks like here. But that, of course, I think you understand your own issue with this team is that like your receiving room needs to get better somehow. And it might just take time. Trying to think.
It's tough.
Yeah, there's not really any moves. I actually like this little stretch for RJ Harvey here because we kind of got a taste of it in the Cincinnati game. Going against, let me pull up the exact schedule here, but I know it's the Jets this week. And then, where's the other games they have? Where are they? The Giants after that, and then the Cowboys. All games in which case they should be in run-dominant game scripts, so you should be seeing a little bit more run for Harvey, so you could throw him in on the flex there if you really want. But overall, you're aware that your issue is the receiving room. It's just going to take a week or two more for CD, and he'll be back, and then not really sure the true timeline for Sir Rickety. So,
would you try to do anything with like Diggs right now, or do you think that's going to be like kind of how it works in New England going forward?
I mean, in theory, it'll be how it works going in New England moving forward. I'm open to the idea of trading him. I just don't know a lot of people that are going to actually make moves for Diggs, unfortunately. Because he's just an older, unsexy name. Like, you got to find the sexy names more often than not. Like, I don't know. I don't mind tearing off of Saquon and trying to get to another asset, but, like, that would be it, I guess. But, yeah, on to the next one. Do your taste starts at advice mainly, then maybe drop a QB or something for another running back. 10-man league, full PPR. I mean, I'd actively be trying to get Kendre right now. I think having a double tight end flex with how this is currently set up is more than fine. I would consider, though, trading away Jake Ferguson just because, like, once CD's back, CD's the primary target earner in that offense. You have Tyler Warren who could easily fit in that flex spot, in which case you can easily tier up with somebody like Jake Ferguson right now, considering the optimism around him. You have the quarterback upside that you need as well, so you can really put those together in a stack. You could take Jake Ferguson with Quentin Johnston, maybe turn that into Jamar Chase. I think that's honestly possible there. Yeah, a wide variety of things that you can really do if you want to tier up. But overall, solid team. Unfortunately, Jacoby Myers just hasn't gotten it done for you just yet, but seems like a good spot for him this week. So a bit more optimistic. You don't need 3 quarterbacks, I guess, would be my main focus here. All right. Congratulations. How we doing, Doug? How we doing?
Oh, Doug's in chat. What up, Doug?
All right. Who should you trade for with your bench? You're 1-4 in a 9-man league. I mean, you're just going against a bunch of super teams, unfortunately. So it's kind of hard to tell you who to trade for.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a ton done there. You're also going to need Kenneth Walker or Chase Brown to start for the next at least 4 weeks.
I mean, you could try to, like, buy low on, like, maybe Derrick Henry or something like that. But, like, I don't know. In these super built leagues, it's kind of hard to tell you what players to really go for. Maybe Judkins, but people are pretty attached to him right now. Hampton, you just got another IR guy right there. You're just kind of getting in all the unlucky parts. I don't really think you need Kyler Murray on the roster, to be honest. Trying to see if there is any upside swings you can really chase after here. Sell out of George Pickens before CD gets back. That would be an option. But that's really about it. There's not really nothing crazy we can do for this roster, unfortunately. All right. On to the next one. You like lasers. All right. Curious if you should try to upgrade your team and trade for wide receiver 1, or what could you trade for? That one's a 10-man PPR Superflex. Okay. So Superflex, and I'm assuming that's Daniel Jones at the other spot. Slicky Ricky.
We kind of just got cooked by Neighbors being out.
Yeah.
Rasheed will help a lot. I would probably I don't know. I mean, I guess you could potentially tier off of like an Achane or a Jaden Daniels or something, and then try to get some pieces that way. But other than that, in a 10-man, I feel like most people's teams look pretty good. You're not going to be able to do a lot of like 2-for-1s because people have enough depth. I think your roster looks pretty good though. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah, Bowers is also an option to get off of, but
yeah. I'd get off of Bowers and I'd get off of QJ personally. Those are the two pieces I'd be looking at here. JNT's playoff schedule sucks as well, so I'm not opposed to flipping off of him. Just the loss of Colton Miller really sucks in the short term, and the fact that Bowers is now battling a knee bruise or bone bruise or whatever, I'm not sold he's actually going to play until after the bye, so you're probably going to be without Bowers for a few weeks here. So
I think I'm keeping Bowers just for now, though. Probably like you're not going to get much compared to what like you should be getting for him. I feel like your league mates are probably just not going to value him, so you might have to just see that one out until he has some good performances, and then you maybe make that decision. But I don't know if right now is the time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine flipping him for like BTJ or realistically like Derrick Henry or something. People
especially like in a 10-man where there are options readily available like every week at tight end on waivers.
I just think if you get 3 weeks down the line, people are going to get really hesitant, especially with how bad the Raiders are about to look. Sorry for your team, Grant. But like QJ, that's a guy I want to get off of. The Chargers are about to look terrible as well. His ADOT is just not going to be able to sustain because of the matchups they're going against. The offensive line needs to be healthy. Once Joe Alt is back, QJ will be back. But until then, I'm not as optimistic. Achan's fine until Mike McDaniel gets fired. JNT, I think there's hope for him because they actually decided to use him in the receiving game for that. So that one I'll really. But overall, I think the team will play out well. All right. Sonny T, can you tell me what type of...
You're kind of underwater, Wells.
Classic. I don't even know how it's possible with this, but is what it is. Sonny T, can you tell me what type of tree to make? A Christmas tree. You can try to trade for Lamb, have to give up 2 guys like London and Waddle, etc., or Chase Brown and Waddle for a better running back like Kyron or something. All right, let's see here. So Chase Brown, Woody Marks, Marv, Debo, Tony Pollard, Jalen Waddle. Let's check out the bench. So we have Bijan. He's back. So now you really need to figure out one starting running back spot.
I like going to trade for CD potentially.
Yeah, I like the CD idea a lot. Trying to think who you could potentially package.
You have Herbert, Bijan, probably Chase Brown or Pollard, I guess. And then CD, Debo / Marv, and then like Woody Marks or Mike Evans or something like that. I feel like that kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a no tight end league?
Looks that way. They said screw the tight ends. I would take one of Chase Brown, probably, or Tony Pollard, realistically one of them, and just pair them with Mike Evans and try to make a trade for Kyron or something lower tier like that. Maybe go after Breece Hall.
Do you think anyone's actually doing that for Kyron, though? I would say no.
Most people will say no, but it at least starts the discussion. Just because you never know where you're going to lead. You'll probably end up with having to sell Waddle, but like I still don't really want to do that just because of how many targets he's likely to have. But then again, what's really the difference between him and Jacoby Myers?
I mean, if you're getting like Lamb, I'd be fine moving off of Waddle and a piece to get there. I think it's a decent sell high spot. I mean, I think like the floor is probably going to be there because of the target share, but like had like a pretty lackluster week outside of the one big play. And like, I don't know if you're going to be able to count on that every week. Their offense just looks significantly more boring than it did when he was most successful during his rookie year.
All right, on to the next one. Ajar, 12-man, full PPR, you're 3-2. You lost the sweep because you made a boneheaded play and started Tucker over Bill. Safe to say you're dropping Tucker. Vrabel continues to be a dictator. You traded Chase Brown for Jaylen Warren and Keon Coleman. Any other moves you should be making? I would be getting off of Michael Carter as quickly as possible. Just this stretch here sucks. And then
I need to do that.
They'll have a bye week, so that is someone I would be trading off of.
Who do they? What's the stretch of games they play?
I want to say it's Colts is next. That's not ideal. And then what do we have right after that?
No, but their O-line is good enough that like he should have a high enough floor, and I expect them to send Amari DiMercato into the shadow realm. So like, I mean, the Cowboys is like as good of a matchup as you can have. That's in 3 games.
Yeah,
Packers obviously sucks, but I don't know. I mean, do we have like exact info on Trey Benson being out only 4 weeks? Like, I feel like it could be more.
It's 6 weeks, but I'd rather just poke the owner in like a few weeks for Michael Carter again. After this stretch here, they're 6.5-point dogs. The team's clearly sucking. I mean, they just completely fell apart to the Titans for no reason at all. I don't know. I just don't really see the optimism for it. Like, it's just like, okay, he's a good touches play, I guess, but I don't know. I'm just not kind of out on the Cardinals, I guess. But aside from that, like, I think you can potentially sell on Jaylen Warren if you wanted, just because, like, I think Kenneth Gainwell might have just forced himself into a committee with that one game he had, which would be kind of annoying for Warren owners, but that's just food for thought more than anything. Harvey's got a nice little stretch here where he should get more run because these should be positive game scripts for them, so they'll try to build up his confidence. Maybe TreVeyon Henderson will get on the field one day. I think we can dream. But Sean Tucker, that was an optimism play that you can honestly drop. Keon Coleman, I'm just not there at all. Your receiving core is sick, tight end sick. Just need to bulk up the running back room.
With the Gibson ACL, like he's going to have to be on the field more. I still don't know. Like they seem to have just blind trust in Ramondre Stevenson for whatever reason, especially around the goal line. But I think that role is going to continue to tick up. You might not be comfortable starting him this week, which is totally fair, but I think you still just kind of got to ride that one out.
Yeah. Overall, it's a solid squad. You just kind of got to wait on some of these running backs to really turn into something. It looks like JCM is truly turning into something in a good matchup this week, so you can set him up there. And yeah, those are kind of how we would play that. On to the next one. King D, 1 10-man PPR, best starts and sits. Harvey would be the person I'd be slotting in over Marks because that's all you have available for 1. Corum, I think they're going to temper getting him as immersed from what happened last week. Judy and Bond are actually interesting for this week, but I wouldn't start him over any of these other options you have. It's got a lot of great options for this week. Anything
I would
you guys
throw Harvey in for Marks and then probably just keep it as is outside of that.
Yeah. All right. On to the next one. Simon says, should you drop Aaron Jones? Simon says, no. Simon says, you just lost Lamar. Are you cooked? Simon says, no. We adapt. I don't mind trading away Lamar Jackson just because, like, he'll be back in 3-4 weeks at 6. Somebody else can deal with that headache in the meantime. Quarterback's a replaceable position as is, and you can theoretically boost your roster if you really wanted to. The question is, do you actually need to boost your roster? So let's see what the survey says. So the survey says you have decent receivers that haven't lived up to the volume just yet. Running backs are honestly pretty good, aside from Saquon, who's kind of questionable at this point. No pun intended. Javonte's been an absolute monster at cost. Probably will feast again this week.
Would you get off of Javonte, or do you think he's just the guy for the year? I think he probably could be the guy going forward. But
I think that like, I have to hold the L on. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just got to hold the L on some of these things. What does your cat have to say on this one?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Fair enough.
Climbing around.
He was just like in front of the entire camera that whole time you were talking.
I was just like, interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make moves for AJ Brown just because it's like if he's actually getting targets, then I imagine they're going to connect. And if like this ends up being a super toxic relationship and they break up, right, then AJ Brown's likely going into another situation that is going to be far more fantasy friendly for him. Because literally the Eagles' passing situation theoretically is the worst, but I think there's better days ahead, to put it lightly. Adams, the volume will bounce back. Hunter, it's nice to see that they're focusing on the receiving side of the ball for him. Kupp is dead weight to me. Goff is irrelevant. I really would be going after Kendre on waivers. It seems like it's a matter of time until he actually gets like a full role.
Marv, so is AJ Brown a guy you're comfortable buying low on right now?
Yeah, I just think that people have soured on him enough, and the reality is like the pendulum will come back at some point or another. Like I would just be very surprised if he didn't. But you never know. The spreadsheet socialists say he's dead, so I don't know. I think he's a good player still. Sam Laporta and Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry will be my must starts this week. Really like this spot for the Patriots. Same with Drake May. But yeah, I think the only thing I would generally consider doing here is like tearing down off of Lamar Jackson towards like an asset that people have soured on, like a Brian Thomas Jr. or Nico Collins even, and just saying like where that kind of takes you to. Because ultimately those players were drafted higher, for one, but two, like they're going to help your specific roster a bit more in theory. I personally would also be a bit hesitant on Jordan Love. I don't know. I'd also peep the Drake May owner and see if he'd be willing to do a deal, because they're not holding that value properly yet. Drake May is a real thing.
It's like Brian Thomas took a good step forward. He still wasn't like elite and wasn't like the guy you fully expected, but it was enough of a wake-up call to kind of have a little bit more faith going forward for the next couple weeks. Like the target share was there, got up to 80 yards. Like if he scored a touchdown, it would have been a huge week. I think like it's probably coming sooner rather than later.
I'll say, yeah, if he got that touchdown, I think people are talking about him a little bit differently. I agree with you, though, that this was a much more positive week because we actually saw them go to him in the go-to moment. So we'll see if that sticks. All right. JT is Flea. Which side in a trade in between Judkins Golden for BTJ Henderson? BTJ Henderson. Like I like Judkins is great and one of the best players in fantasy really right now. But like Golden, we have no idea what the hell is going to happen there if we're being completely honest at this point. Like Christian Watson apparently is back at practice, so we have another rotational receiver coming in. That's great. BTJ, clear alpha there, and then we just saw Antonio Gibson tear his ACL, which, funnily enough, apparently Henderson missed the block that caused the ACL tear or something like that. So that's interesting.
That's wild.
But like, yeah, I just want to BTJ into Henderson side. It just feels like you're going to be getting a quicker ceiling, if you will, for Henderson, and then more stability with BTJ. But yeah, that's how I
would you be. I guess, yeah, we talked about the Carter matchup. I don't know if you're really going to be starting in this week. I think Judkins needs to start every week, like even over Genty and Bill. Just get him in there, find a way. This is like the youngest team I've ever seen.
Yeah, really is. I like the squad, though. All right, on to the next one. King D2, start sit, particularly at tight end. All right, so we have Goddard and we have Kittle, who's not available.
So you're probably going to start the guy that's playing.
I'll say you got one option here, so I guess you're starting that one.
Maybe you're looking at waivers or something. Like
I think
Barner.
Hunter Henry would be probably my go-to this week. I'm trying to see if like who I'm going to theoretically take dart throws at. I've got an ugly one that I actually really like this week because I don't expect Bowers to play, and I'm pretty sure Michael Mayer's out missing more time, right?
He has a concussion. I don't know what his status is for this week. He didn't play last week. Are you thinking of Ian Thomas?
No, I was looking at Albert O.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he did get involved in the passing game a little bit.
Yeah. He looked like he's a really cheap, ugly option that I kind of like, but that's like about it. I'd still start Goddard over all these guys, though. Like, Goddard's a pretty good projection. I'd need to see the waivers, ideally, to kind of give you an idea.
I believe Barner?
He's okay. It's kind of interesting. I feel like you would be able to give us a better kind of sense of his profile, considering he's from the Michigan tree that you're so familiar with.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, this week I think his stock is probably going to get inflated just because he got those 2 red zone targets. But I don't know that that's like the biggest anomaly in the world. Like I think he won't score 2 touchdowns probably again this season, but I think he is like their best red zone profile Like before, it would have been a DK that you can kind of trust to throw the ball up to, but they don't really have that profile wide receiver anymore. You see like Torrey Horton getting some red zone targets. JSN is obviously going to get open on some of those like through the middle routes and slants and stuff in the end zone. But in terms of like broken play, like you're throwing the ball up to a guy or you're drawing up like kind of a one-on-one, like go get it ball, he's probably their best guy suited for that. So I think he probably is going to continue to score touchdowns. I don't know if it's going to be every week, but if you're in like a tight end premium league or like you have some injuries to your tight ends or something, maybe you're a Kittle guy, I think he could totally do a job for a few weeks.
Would you start Kendre over Golden and flex this week? No, I'd go with Golden. That's going to be a narrative thing. They're going to be like, we want to get Golden in the end zone or something. Just Cincinnati's not a serious organization at this point.
Do we think Waller maybe off waivers is another option for this guy for this week?
Yeah, as long as Waller's healthy, I feel like you have to start him. Like he was just able to dominate targets. So I love how I buy him at a high price and then don't buy him at a low price. Gotta love that.
I would assume somebody probably picked him up after the 2 touchdown game in most leagues, but if he's still there, that's definitely a guy to think about. You could drop.
Yeah, Theo Johnson, also another decent look. He has a kind of a bad matchup this week, but
yeah. Let's see, what was the other one? Mason Taylor. Yeah, all the kind of fun string tight ends that we had for last week are in really bad matchups this week.
Yeah.
All right, Jay Bowens now 2-3, and you're worried about Kamara and feeling sure about your running backs in general since Hampton is hurt. I'm also swapping out cards and defense. Packers defense. Empty roster will be Darren Waller. Okay, well, digest there. One, I'm still not sold Joe Mixon's going to be a thing this year, so I'd prefer to have Hampton in my IR spot because I am confident he'll be back and like good. Whereas
I think Mixon might not play.
Mixon's probably not playing.
Is that what he's saying he's going to do with his open slot, or does he have another one?
I think
there's another one in there.
I'd go with Fannin over those options, Derek. I actually like. I hate admitting this out loud, but one of my favorite plays in DFS this week is quite literally because I think Judkins is like the ultimate theoretical lock of locks to go for like over 100 yards and potentially 2 touchdowns, and that's probably the most likely thing to happen. But like I also think it would be absolutely hilarious if the only person who's thrown 2+ touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings this season has another great game against a divisional rival, and that Dillon Gabriel. So I'm making a few throw-up stacks with Dillon Gabriel with his various receivers, and very fun kind of play on Sparks if you're a true degenerate and want to utilize that on Prediction Strike.
He seemed to really like targeting the tight ends in the red zone. I think those were who he threw the two to, right? One Fan and one Njoku. So
exactly.
Big targets, obviously. Small guy throwing the ball. Find your biggest guy and get it up there. Yeah.
Isaiah Bondstocks. But aside from that, in reference to your roster, I'm going to make a video about this, but my bold prediction is everyone's saying that there's no way that Kamara gets traded, but like, what if he just goes to the Chargers? I feel like that'd be a pretty solid complement to what they want with Hampton as well. I don't know. Oh, and that's sort of why I want Kendre. What? Sorry.
I don't know if the Chiefs would do it, but that would be a fun place for a team that clearly needs some receiving threat out of the backfield.
Yeah. Regardless, I think he's like Kamara's probably going to get traded to a team that's going to boost his stock, would be my bet. Would be honestly a bit surprised if that isn't how it would play out. But
I wouldn't be shocked at all if Breece gets moved at some point too.
Yeah,
I guess
Breece
it could be later than that, but yeah.
Aside from that, though, I like your receivers. Tight end, I think selling high on Dalton Kincaid's fine just because he runs pure as hell.
I would start Ricky even if he's like just logs 1 practice before this weekend over QJ this week. I think that game is going to be fun. Tampa Bay has just played in shootouts all year. I feel like if Ricky's healthy and he logs a couple practices going into that game, I feel like Tampa Bay could easily end up playing like a 30-28 game again or something, and he's running all over the place.
Yeah, I might take the Dolphins in that matchup though. We'll see.
In which matchup?
Against the Chargers, just because like so many things.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that at all. I mean, in theory, that's a decent matchup, but the Dolphins' run D has just been so atrocious that like I feel like you'll just see a ton of Vidal and Haskins and stuff like that, and probably QJ. They might just be up by a decent amount, or even if they keep it close, like they haven't given up a ton of like super long passing plays like that. So I would feel pretty good about Pearsall if he can get some practice in.
Yeah. Hopefully, Sir Pearsall will be there. But I like your running back room. I think it's going to get better with time. I'd be buying. I guess Kamara's a technical buy low. I just think there's not like. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go to another organization and his role isn't technically better.
So that would make Kendre also a buy.
Oh yeah, Kendre is an absolute hammer for me. That's what I've been getting really excited about. Just because I think he's going to have a role. And the ultimate like Galaxy Brain thing is like I don't think a team would do this, but imagine what would happen if a team traded for Kendre. Like he's been one of the kind of analytical darlings. I don't think a team's going to ever pay that kind of premium, but he's been awesome. So we will see. Baby Pluto, 12-team double flex PPR. You're 5-5 now. I hate league median. Any moves you should be making? Most recent trade was Woody Marks and Dubs for Diggs and Pearsall this week.
Wait, how is he 5-5?
It's the league median rule, so you just score yours. Like, it's annoying. But aside from that, I mean, this team looks sick. In theory, you want to trade off of like Rachaad White and Diggs, but like that's more of a if you want to do that kind of thing. And it's also who are you tiering up to?
Trading Woody Marks and Dobbs for Diggs and Pearsall was incredibly sharp. Good job.
Yeah, very sharp. But like that's all I'd be trying to do is like try to tier up for more sustainability if you can, right? Because like Rachaad White isn't going to hold the spell cow role forever. Diggs, he's probably going to be the alpha for a good time, but like I just don't really expect him to hold up for the whole season. I
think Diggs and White for someone is probably a good shout. I would get, like I touched on last time, I think Pearsall probably is better looking forward to this week than Ladd McConkey. We talked about RJ Harvey potentially having a solid role in this one. And yeah, I think the sell high guys are probably going to be Diggs and White. Agreed. That's the route I would go. Your running backs are fine. You have like the best receiver in football. You kind of just need to use your bench to tier up a tad in like those like flex spots just for guys that'll probably be good long term.
Yeah, this team's turning into a championship contender, my friend. Mm-hmm. All right, on to the next one. Rocky's Revenge, 2-3, 12-team PPR tight end premium. Mooney and Bourne are on waivers, and the San Diego running back backups also Loveland is on waivers. Well, I know everyone's going to Haskins and Vidal, and I see it. If you are a big college football fan, I want to say you're probably going to be a little bit more interested in Vidal, if memory serves correctly. And then, like, if you paid attention to the snaps specifically, you're probably a bit more interested in Haskins. I think this is just going to be a running back by committee, and it's not going to be fun. Like, it's not going to be something really fantasy friendly.
But I think they could both have huge weeks this week. Like, it's just such a favorable matchup that it's hard to not want to pick one of them up. But like, you're in a spot where I guess you could use a potential upside swing there. I guess. I mean, you have Harvey, but right now you're starting both the Lions, which gives you that floor. But I guess it couldn't hurt to take a shot on one of those guys.
I would do Kendre over Emari DeMarcado if he's available on waivers. That's how I'd prefer it. But if you're not, like, if you want another upside swing, that's not Kendre. I would go Hassan. That seems to be where they'd be leaning.
I would go Mooney over Bourne too. I think the long-term value is way more in his favor.
I agree, because Pearsall, Jennings, and who knows, maybe Ayuk will come back this year. That's still the craziest thing to me.
Kittle will at some point too, which isn't a receiver, but it's still targets.
So many people back before Brandon Ayuk this year, or even an update. Like, my gosh. Anyways, Abu, the two last picks are trades you made. You're the one who received Dobbins and received Chase Brown. Who should you target wide receiver and what package is going to be great for that? Well, I think trading for J.K. Dobbins was really sharp. Someone I was far too low on in the preseason because I just got so stuck in this RJ Harvey psychosis. But, like, Dobbins looks great. Jonathan Taylor smash. Chris Olave love to move there. George Pickens. That's somebody I'd be selling off of. Like, he's basically – we talked about him being discounted to Higgins. And he's still going to have great games ahead of him. But ultimately, like, once CD is back, like, CD's offense. You know what I mean?
Do we know what trades he made, like, who he gave up in these things?
No, we don't. We don't. But we see his current roster.
I wonder who he's giving up to get Chase Brown.
Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. I wouldn't be making moves for Chase Brown, personally.
No, because your bench is all pretty good. I mean, I guess if the offense gets better under a different quarterback, like, he could have some success, but their O-line just looks fried. Like, I think even under Burrow, Chase Brown wouldn't have had that great of a season outside of, like, the dump-offs and being involved in the passing game a bit. But your bench is super strong. I think you should probably just 2-for-1 your way to some success here. Maybe you sell high on a Pickens and then you throw in Diggs and you turn that into like whoever has CD or another piece like that you feel good about. But you have plenty of good players. I think you just got to find the right way to manage them to end up with your eventual championship roster.
Yeah. I mean, overall, it's a sick team. Like, I really don't have actually any real notes on this. In theory, you tier up your receivers, but yeah, that's how you do it with the 2-for-1s. All right, on to the next one. I believe the fast one. Pocket Piggle offered Pittman for your second and Mason. All right, let's see here. Pittman for your second and Mason? I'm confused. What side of the deal?
Round pick and Mason.
He has...
Who has Pittman in this deal?
I think the person he's trading with has Pittman. He has Mason in the second round.
I'm a draft capital guy. I'm very big on it. I think Pittman's fine for like a win now kind of thing. If you really want to, I don't know if you necessarily need that for this team. I don't know. I'm very stuck with draft capital. Unfortunately, that's just kind of where I'm at.
Mason's also fine. Like you can plug him in for multiple weeks. I don't know how many teams are in this league, but it looks like your starting lineup is super strong for a dynasty type format. I would probably keep your second, but maybe you could find a different trade because it does seem like you're pretty well equipped to contend this year. So especially with, I believe that's Rashee Rice on the bench. Like your team has potential to be pretty insane this year. So maybe you cash in a draft pick and get a guy that can like really help you upgrade, but I wouldn't do it for that trade. I think your team is more in contention now, and I don't know. I wouldn't stress too much. Like you'd rather just have that draft pick. I think those two players are like somewhat even in my eyes. And if you're going to make a trade, I would get something that more solidifies you in the contention right now camp.
Yeah. Well, that said, though, I believe that is our last team here. Appreciate y'all popping in, chat with us for a little while. Subscribe if you haven't already, and
join the Discord.
Peace.
Until next time, peace, y'all.
Peace.